I'm going to try to pronounce your name, and please correct me if I don't do it well, but I want to welcome Agnese Rudzate. I did it right. And she's speaking to me amazingly from Switzerland. And I'm very excited to have Agnese as my guest for the YourCreativeChord podcast. And let me just tell you a little bit about her, and then we'll dive in so that you can hear directly from Agnese. She is a productivity coach. Everybody needs that right now. I feel it. She's a productivity coach, and she helps female entrepreneurs thrive in their businesses without 24/7 time involvement. She helps business owners get rid of overwhelm and constant hustle by working smarter. Agnese is a firm believer that any business can increase its productivity by implementing her formula. With years of experience as a certified quality manager, she has gained insight, skills, knowledge, and confidence in creating, maintaining, and implementing structure, systems, and processes that bring results. And this, to me, sounds amazing as a woman entrepreneur working online during the pandemic. So first, I just want to say welcome to YourCreativeChord Podcast, Agnese.
Thank you very much. I'm so blessed to be here. Thank you.
I'm excited to talk to you. We were just talking a second ago, I think it's nice to touch on this, that we were just relating to each other about the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic and things are quarantined and the numbers were low, and now that people are getting out and moving around a bit in Switzerland, the numbers are going up again. And if you're watching the news, you know that in America, the numbers are ridiculously high because half of us take it seriously and half of us don't. So I think that, the conversation here, connecting life to life and heart to heart, even if it's through a video conference, this is something that we all can really treasure as, encouragement during this time of isolation. So I'm really happy that we're connecting.
Absolutely. And if before people were scared maybe to use Zoom or Skype or whatever, this video connection, now they're kind of like forced to do that.
Yes. But now everyone's using it, and I think it's going to change business forever.
It's almost kind of like you don't have a choice. Right. You have to be online and you have to do it, Yeah. And this is what I was encouraging people when the pandemic started. This is the best time. If you ever thought to go online, do it now.
I'm wholeheartedly agreeing with you. So let's jump in to get to know you a little better. For my audience, can you describe for my audience, what is your background and training?
Absolutely. So I come from a background in working in a private sector as a quality manager. Mm. And this is actually when I realized how much can a structure, a system, a process approach can bring to business profits and to save time and for everyone. And if you have a small team around you, for everyone to work more efficiently and effectively, because so many people waste their time. And it's not that we're only doing it it's not that we're only doing it in our private lives, but it's also in our workplace. Right. And especially now when everybody is working from home, it's more important now to actually focus and be there when you work. Yeah. Right?
Right. I really appreciate this because interestingly, I'm in the process of creating for the first time my own systems and structures to get a team of interns to help me with admin and tech stuff, because I do a lot of different things and it's kind of started holding me back from actually moving my business forward. And so this is very, pertinent and relevant, I think, for many entrepreneurs online, especially. But now, like we were talking about during the current pandemic and how it's driven so many businesses to the online space, can you describe what systems, structures, and processes you help implement and what kinds of results your clients would gain from working with you on this?
Mm-hmm. Well, my formula is quite simple, actually. It's not very hard to implement for anyone. And I can tell you this right now. I can give you my formula. It's just a matter of commitment and actually going and implementing. because this is where a lot of people get stuck. They listen to hundreds of podcasts, they watch webinars, they join groups, subscribe to emails, yet they still struggle because they don't implement. And that's the important part, right?
Minor detail. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Of course, mindset comes in there as well. But what I teach is to actually list down everything that you do in your business, and then go with everything that is there and see what can be delegated, what can be outsourced, what can be automated, and eventually what can also be eliminated.
I love that. Want that.
There are so many things, like when we think in our mind, it's like, oh, everything is important. But once we write everything down, all the processes, tasks, it's like it can be 3 pages, it can be 10 pages. And suddenly you realize, oh my God, this wastes my time, that wastes my time, this doesn't bring results. Why the hell am I doing this in the first place?
And for me, that really hits the nail on the head. For me, the things that I'm learning, I have a biz coach myself, and one of the things that I'm learning is, I can stay very busy doing a lot of tech and admin tasks, but how is that really moving forward my revenue? How is that really expanding my business as a base? So that's very important to list things that and prioritize. I really love this topic. I need this topic.
That's the thing, like prioritizing, it's huge. And this is how you prioritize. You look at what you do and see what actually brings results. If it doesn't bring in money, if it doesn't help, like, why is it there? Is it necessary? Or are you doing it just for its doing sake? Or do you like doing it? Because we can spend hours on creating Canva photos, like graphics and stuff, because we like to do it. But then imagine if in those 2 hours you could make 2 sales calls. What would that do to your bottom line?
The impact, So, and I think speaking for myself, and I know a lot of women entrepreneurs in the same mindset that I have, a lot of times we spend time doing things that aren't really impacting our forward momentum because we're perfectionists about something. And perfectionism just kind of you get like so honed in on something, and you lose sight of what you just said, the priority of what's really most important. So I love that you help women basically sort out what's really going to make the biggest impact in their business with prioritization.
Yeah.
So I want to,
I'm perfectionist myself, and this is something that I had to overcome, and I still struggle with it. But because it's like it's your journey.
Yes.
It's constantly there, right?
Yeah.
You can't just change yourself like that. So this is why I understand women.
Yeah, and I think that so many women have that perfectionist trait. And I think with your kind of service of, learning how to prioritize, helping people learn to prioritize, I think you can still be naturally perfectionist, but be perfectionist about the right things.
Exactly.
So I want to move forward a little bit, and just so my audience can kind of get to know you a little better, what philosophy underlies or motivates what you do?
Well, for me, I also have a background in empowerment coaching. So everything that I do is also based on that, to empower women that can stand strongly in their place and be the queens of their business and their lives. Because this is who we are. We can't take things lightly, or get mistreated. It's that woman empowerment that really drives me forward. And I like to see that evolving in my clients.
Can you tell me more about how you would empower women to empower themselves and others?
Yeah.
Give me the secret sauce.
Yes, the secret sauce. Well, I have actually added a bonus to my Freedom Business Formula, and it's a mindset bonus and a private empowerment session with me.
Wow.
Because as we know, of course, without mindset, there can't be big results, because it's just, if you're not there, like nothing is there, because you are your business.
Right.
If you don't feel motivated, focused, or all of those things, like you will be where you are.
Right.
You will not grow. And the same is with empowerment. Once you start to feel confident, once you start to take charge of what you do and you actually start to see results, you get more empowered. It all really comes down to the mindset, and to the mindset training that I do. This is all of the things that I touch. And during the private empowerment sessions, we go through our goals and all of that little details, to get where you want to be, because you know where you want to be, right? And if you don't, this is what we figure out as well, because you need to know. Who else will know?
Yeah, I think that really speaks to a lot of women, I think, because we can be so busy that we lose sight of that mindset strategy and lose sight of what our real purpose is. So I think having a coach is a huge way to gain momentum for forward movement, and to really clarify for yourself what's most important and how you can. I really firmly believe in having a coach and having your coach have a coach, and surrounding yourself with, people that are constantly working on their mindset and constantly working on fulfilling a purpose, because it really does. It impacts everything in your life if you're clear on that.
And when I started out, I actually saw a lot of women being afraid to invest in themselves.
Yeah.
Invest in the coaching or seminars and stuff like that, because how else do you grow if you constantly surround yourself with people that are in your life, like your family? Maybe you're not on the same place, right, business wise. So you have to go out there. You have to ask for help. And I also encourage people to just reach out to your mentor, to your role model, because that doesn't cost anything.
Right.
And maybe it takes 2 minutes to answer. So why wouldn't you reach out, right?
Right. And I've talked about this before with other guests on the Your Creative Chord podcast. And I think that's a super awesome, fabulous suggestion, reaching out to role models and mentors. But I want to speak to people that are a bit introverted about that. I'm an introvert, believe it or not. But if you don't have a mentor or a role model, first of all, having a coach helps tremendously with that, because you can reach out to the coach. But if you don't, or even in addition to that, what I do is, as you mentioned earlier, I listen to tons of podcasts. I read books by people who have really strong, what I want to say, sincere and earnest characters, because learning from these role models and mentors in history, and reading classics and reading about world leaders or people that are really doing something for the good of others, to me, that's reaching out to a mentor. That's reaching out to a role model. Sometimes I find a lot of my answers from those podcasts or those books. I listen to books a lot on Audible, so I don't look anymore. I'm listening. But speaking of mentors and role models, you mentioned that you have, as your role models or mentors, you mentioned Vanessa Moss and Marie Forleo and Gabrielle Bernstein. Now, I'm a little bit
probably
familiar.
Know them.
Well, I was going to say, I'm only familiar with one, with Marie Forleo.
Oh, really?
And for the people in this space, Marie Forleo is a super successful woman entrepreneur, and she teaches others how to have online, success, basically. But tell me a little bit about these others, and why'd you choose these people as mentors, and who are they, and why do you see them as your role model? And bear in mind that some of my audience are not in the entrepreneurial space. Some of them are, but some of my audience are also creators or people that are seeking to nurture their creativity and live more inspired life. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us who these people are and why you chose them as your role models?
Yes, of course. Well, first I want to say that you have to be, yes, we all want to know things. We want to learn from the best, but you also need to be careful from who you're learning, because there's so much noise out there. And the Seriously. Thing is, if you want to just subscribe to 100 emails or listen to podcasts, webinars, etc., be careful that it doesn't add too much noise.
That's good
and
advice.
So it's important to know who your role model is. And like Marie Forleo, I'm sure people have heard of her. She's amazing. Well, Gabrielle Bernstein, she is more into spiritual world. And I really like that approach on her. I'm not very spiritual person myself, but when I listen to her, she talks so much sense about business, about entrepreneurship, about all those things. Check her out on Instagram.
I will check her out. Sounds interesting.
She has several books, and yeah, she's just amazing. And my mentor, Vanessa Moss, she's somebody who I came across quite recently, and I just liked her direct approach, because I'm also like that. I'm quite direct, straight to the point, you know. I don't like the fluff and go around things, you know. I say things how they are. Maybe sometimes to a fault.
Yeah, a little too honest on my part.
That could get us in a little bit of trouble. But yes, direct approach is something that I've been like that, and I do that with my clients as well.
Yeah, I value that, because you know exactly where I know exactly where you're coming from, and there's no waste of time, and we can connect more readily, I think, because we know exactly where we're coming from. So this person, Vanessa Moss, you feel that she's like that. She's very direct in the way that she
Exactly. Yes.
Excuse me. That's awesome. I will definitely check those out. I had not heard of either one of those, and I love that you've chosen 3 women as your mentor role models. That's really a shout out to women empowerment there. And I wanted to go a little further, because I know that you have something for my podcast listeners. You mentioned earlier you have a bonus and a free empowerment session. So we'll definitely make sure those links are, you know, below in the comments. So if people want to connect with you, that's great. Excuse me. But please tell my audience, Team YCC, Your Creative Chord, tell us what your freedom business formula is and how that helps women.
Mm-hmm. So my formula is basically a structure and the system that goes into the business. So what I like to do is I like to look at the business that, for example, you do, find that weak link, what is not working, because obviously if you want to work with me, if you want to increase your productivity, if you want to be better, something is off. So what is it? Are you overworking? Are you working like 24/7, right? So how we can cut down those hours, but to do that without sacrificing the income. And once you actually implement the formula that I have created on focusing on things that bring results, you not only, I would like to say that you increase your profits. You decrease your hours, but you increase your profits because you focus on the right things. And one thing that I want to share is that when you begin any task, ask yourself, are you being active or are you being productive?
Ooh, say that again.
Are you just being active or are you actually being productive? You know, are you actually wasting your time? And to be even more clear, ask yourself, if this is the only thing I accomplish today, will I be satisfied with my day?
Do that again. We need to hear it twice.
We tend to just waste our time so much that it's important to remind ourselves. So if this is the only thing you accomplish today, will you be satisfied with your day?
I just love these.
Very quickly, this puts things into perspective.
I am just eating this up because this is something I personally struggle with. I'm a kind of person who is constantly active, and it's interesting because I have blogs that I have written and researched about how to boost productivity. And one of the most important things that I even have a free download on how to prioritize. And based on the research in the blog, in the people that I've learned about, they all say, prioritize, and the strategy is find one thing that's going to make the biggest impact on your goal, which in a businesswoman's situation would be revenue generation, for example. And focus on that revenue generation task, the task that's going to be make the most impact on moving forward. And I like how you, the funny point that I'm trying to make about that is that we can be very active and think that we're moving towards that goal. But if you don't really clarify it, like you said at the beginning, making lists of all the things that you do and then grouping them into how are they moving you forward for growing your revenue, for example, or whatever the goal is, in my case, revenue growth. If you don't prioritize it, then you can still be doing all those other things on your list and getting nowhere.
Exactly. I mean, this is how we trick ourselves to be busy. We're just busy. And then when somebody asks you, what do you do? Oh, I'm so busy. Yep. We're constantly busy because we have this mindset that if you're busy, right, it's good. Like you right, bring money in. Do you actually?
Right. I like that. And instead of saying, am I busy? Am I accomplishing it? Am I moving forward? I love remind yourself, if this is the only thing you accomplished today, will you be satisfied? And are you being active or are you being productive? These are total gems. These are wonderful for anybody, whether they're in business or not, to really kind of focus on. Love those tips. So yeah. I want to, did you want to say anything else about that before sorry, I'm just rolling forward. I wanted to ask you, or actually I had sent you a question. I asked you if there was something you're proud of that you've accomplished in the past 6 months. And you said, quote, I am proud of stepping out of my comfort zone and getting more visible online because it's a great way to serve more women in their needs for better productivity. I'm also proud of investing more and more in myself, my personal and professional growth, because that is how I can share more of myself with the world, end quote. And I want to say, first of all, that is so inspiring for anybody to listen to. These are wonderful ways to inspire anybody to move forward. But I want to ask you, in what way was getting more visible online, how was that out of your comfort zone? And what would you advise other women who are hesitant to get out of their comfort zone to do?
Yeah, well, I'm introvert, so I'm
me too.
I'm the quiet person. I'm the shy one, and so yes, it was challenging because all those things went through my mind, like, oh my God, what will they think? Right. What will he say about that? And all those insecurities, and eventually you just have to overcome them. And this is where coaching comes very handy. Because other person, when they come in, they have a fresh perspective on your situation, because we tend to get too much in our head, right, rolling around the same stuff, and we just get nowhere.
Yeah, so, and I think, and a coach can also hold you accountable.
Oh yes.
Once they help you get into that, they help hold you accountable.
Absolutely, that's one of the most important things in my coaching personally as well. Yeah. To keep clients accountable, to keep them on that right track, because it's so easy to slide off. And with accountability, it's just, it's so close. So no, accountability is very super important. And it was for me as well to overcome these issues.
I was going to say, how was getting on, you told me that, but how would you advise other women? I think what you're saying is you're advising them to get a coach for accountability, but what would you advise, like, how did you get out of your comfort zone? You said you just kind of eventually have to get over all those voices in your head. Yeah. But how did you?
Well, they're still there,
Right. They never really go away. You just kind of keep talking back.
Yep.
But how did you get yourself, out of your comfort zone? How did you move yourself forward?
The first thing is just go and do it. Like for me, doing the podcasts as well, like I was so uncomfortable doing the lives or anything like that. And there is no really one formula that you can just go and implement and you're going to be good at it. You just continue doing it, and you continue putting yourself out there, and eventually you start caring less what others think.
Yes, I have that benefit because I'm past 50. Once you get past 50, you just don't care. I'm serious. I mean, I've spent, women, I know many women, and I did it myself for years, wondering and worrying about what other people think. Yep. But there's a point in time when you're just like, that's a waste of my energy. I'm just going to move on the path that's right for me. I was going to say back to your your point that how you got out of your comfort zone is that you just kept doing it and you just kept doing it. And you can't see it, but I have a little Post-it note, excuse me, on my wall that says, do it anyway. And I love Mel Robbins, who's a life coach, pretty famous. And she has that, I've watched her show several times, and some of the things she'll say in her books and her show is, look, tell me all your excuses why you don't want to get out of your comfort zone. Go ahead. Tell me all those things. Now do it anyway.
I'm writing it down.
Yes, it's so important because I feel, and I'm learning that myself, that like you, I recently started doing live presentations. Excuse my allergies. And no, I'm not comfortable with that at all. But I find that the more I do things, the more I keep moving, there comes a point in time when you can look back and see how far out on the ledge you've gone. And there's you really have to, I think as women especially, you have to acknowledge that. You have to acknowledge you did get out of your comfort zone. And, we have to celebrate those things and pat ourselves on the back. And I think that, celebrating those moments of accomplishment, however small they might appear, celebrate it anyway, because I feel like it really does build momentum for you.
Yeah.
And like I look back myself, when I look at my goals moving forward and I feel angst or overwhelm or lack of confidence or whatever, I remind myself how far I've come. I remind myself of those accomplishments. And it does, first of all, it makes me grateful, it makes me appreciate, but it also kind of rejuvenates. Heck, if I can do that, I can do this.
Exactly. And sometimes we forget about that. We forget about how far we've come, because, our spouse might not fully understand what the hell we're doing, right? Or family members, and
friends,
then we
even
just get caught up.
Right.
Yeah, and we have to be accountable for what we have done for ourselves, our growth. And you're absolutely right. Celebrate every single day.
That's I was speaking to another wellness for women over 40 group host, Linus Woods Mullins. She's a wellness nutritionist and life coach, basically. And she talks about how, in our interview I did a little while ago, she talks about that same thing, that she has learned she can't depend on her husband or her family members to celebrate those moments for her. She has learned that you have to do that for yourself, that you really have to acknowledge yourself and your own victories. And she'll do like a little happy dance in her room, or, in my case, I eat dark chocolate to celebrate some accomplishment that I've done. So I think it is a really important point that to empower ourselves by acknowledging those things. I love that.
And even the smallest steps, the smallest accomplishments, they still count, because they bring you closer to where you want to be.
I love that, because I do think you don't accomplish climbing a mountain in a day. You climb it step by step, inch by inch. So I love that you honed in on that. Little things, little steps are, in my opinion, just as important as the big accomplishments, because you wouldn't have those big accomplishments if you didn't take those little steps, along the way.
Absolutely. You just have to take the first step. You don't have to see the whole staircase, climb the mountain in a day. Just take that first step and celebrate it.
I think that I'm glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of women, we're so perfectionist about ourselves that we don't realize that you don't have to climb the mountain yesterday. You climb it today with a step, not like, leaps and bounds. You just do it incrementally. So this is really, I'm going to be listening to this podcast again for myself, just to remind myself. But I want to move on, because I as part of my podcast questionnaires for my guests, I always want to ask, and I'm going to ask you this question. I ask my guests to imagine, and I want you to imagine, that we have a bottle of champagne 1 year from now, and I want you to describe for me what we would be celebrating. And you had responded, the thousands of women's lives I've touched and improved. How do you feel that you touch and improve women's lives, and what motivates you to do that?
Mm-hmm. Well, this was actually my goal that I set at the beginning of the year. Kind of like, we all do these New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
Well, how I know is by their comments, by their emails, by their love, their feedback. This is how I know, and this is my why. This is why I do what I do. Otherwise, it's just pointless, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's great motivation. Basically serving other people to be more empowered and live fuller lives. And
absolutely.
That's awesome that you do
I
that.
mean, why it's still a business? It's also, you're doing it to help others, and if you can get paid for it, why the hell not, right?
I heard this somewhere. I don't know where the quote's from, but your attitude, I feel the same way about my clients with what I do, but my attitude, I stole this quote and I don't know who I can credit it to, sorry, but I serve, therefore I deserve.
Yes.
I love that, that you're empowering women because you want them to be happy and you want them to be fulfilled and successful and to live rich lives. And gosh, that is a great motivation and it's a great reward in itself. And there's no reason why anybody that does a service for others shouldn't be paid and rewarded for that. I think that's really important, that mindset about, money.
Yeah, I constantly remind my clients, you are worthy.
Love that. Yeah.
You are worthy. And that's the end of it. You are worthy.
Yeah, full stop. Yeah. So we know, we're going full circle here. We know the importance of mindset on our happiness and success. What do you offer toward the improvement specifically of mindset? How do you approach that with your clients?
I have a training in my Freedom Business Formula that is called Queen Mindset.
What is it called?
Queen
mindset.
And I talk there about how we need to wear that crown proudly and really own it.
Just seeing myself with a crown, right?
Of our life, and wear that crown and don't be ashamed of it. You deserve it.
I think I'm just pausing to let that sink in, because I think so many women, we self-depreciate ourselves too much. And I love that. So you have some...
Straighten your back.
What'd you say?
Straighten your back and wear that crown with confidence.
I love that. I am the queen. I love it. What is your meditations album?
Well, I've been into meditations for quite some time. And, when I started, I actually quite struggled with it. I couldn't just sit in a quiet and not think,
Right.
It was impossible.
Right.
So what I did, I used a lot of guided meditations that I could find online.
Yep.
And this really helped me. And I felt like women need more of that. But what I did with my meditations is that I added specific technologies that enhance that experience, that deepens that experience, like different monaural beats, isochronic tones. You can all find it in my homepage as well. I even have explanation on what they do to your brain waves. It's all for the reason so you don't have to meditate for years like a monk, but you could actually see the benefits faster.
So tell me a little bit, explain that. You said you incorporated technology to enhance the experience, and meaning you used audio sounds and rhythms, or what do you mean?
Yes. So what I did, there's a specific background that I have created with all those sounds and tones and music and rhythm. So it's not just a music taken from internet, somewhere.
Right.
It's specifically created for each meditation.
Did you, because I'm a composer also, I don't know if you know that I'm a music composer, and I don't do sound design at all, but I know people that do. And it always baffles my mind that they take the technology and they basically edit the audio wave form and create these different sounds. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. So I have collaborated with a composer.
Oh, okay. Good job. Okay.
Yeah, so he did all of those specific technical stuff.
Why did you choose the specific sounds and things? What were you looking for?
Well, this is after the research that I have done, and I know what helped me. So I wanted to brought that to more wider audience.
That is huge.
Yeah.
And that's called a meditation. It's a meditations album of meditations with these sound kind of
Well,
soundscapes
yes.
behind them?
Yes. In this album, I have 10 specific meditations with,
Nice.
like, they are guided meditations
Okay.
with this background, sound background, musical rhythm background. Yes.
And how does that tie in with what you do as a coach?
Mm-hmm.
How is that related?
Well, this is all created for empowerment, for motivation, for focus, and for clarity.
Well, would you repeat that? Empowerment, motivation, clarity, and something else.
Focus.
I'm not clear. I'm not focused.
You're not focusing.
Those are awesome. I love that. I mean, I've used guided meditations myself. Like you, when I sit still, it always happens at night. You know, when I try to lay down to go to sleep, that's when my brain just really kicks in. And I'm not good at shutting off the thinking, basically. So I'm actually a Buddhist, and I chant an active vocal chant, you know, morning and evening as an SGI Buddhist member. But I've also used, you know, guided meditations, and I'm very curious to see how your typically when I listen to guided meditations that have the sounds with it, because I'm a composer and a musician, it distracts me from the actual meditation. So I think having the fact that you've researched it, and that you researched how it's going to impact people in their meditation, and that you've worked with a skilled composer to create those sounds, that intrigues me as a person who has a hard time meditating and composes. I'm very interested in checking those out.
I mean, when I decided to do it, I didn't just want to do a meditation. You know, I didn't just want to do something that everybody does. I wanted to be very specific in the results and what I'm creating, very something unique, you know.
I love that. So I'm going to check that out, and we will make sure that the link to all 10 of your meditations are in the comments below. That sounds really intriguing. So are there any other projects you're currently involved in besides what we've discussed so far?
Well, actually, I just finished my free, it's a video workshop. You can check it out also. Probably we will add some links. It's about 3Q strategy. It's 3 questions that you should ask yourself. I already gave some of them away before, but I'll let you watch the video so you know the strategy to get more productive, focused.
I was going to say, if people are like me, I have to hear it 4 or 5 times. So can you give me, like, I know you've already given me a few really good gems in this conversation. I'm kind of look at my notes here. Like, one of the gems that you're giving is to ask yourself, are you being active or are you being productive? And another one is to remind yourself, if this is the only thing I accomplished today, will I be satisfied? These are some awesome gems that you've given us. Do you have any other productivity tips you would advise? Just give me one productivity tip that women entrepreneurs could incorporate, maybe for better success or better workflow.
Well, I have one for better decision making.
Ooh, I like that.
This comes from if you really listen to yourself. And to me, it has helped hugely. And it sounds like this. If you're struggling or you're just not sure, ask yourself, is this a hell yes? Because if it's not, it's a hell no. And this is how you know that things are aligned with your vision, with your mission, with your goal.
I love that.
Because if it's not a hell yes, you're not going to be fully in there, you know, you're not going to give your full attention. The quality will decrease. So what is it, you know? Is it a hell yes? Then go for it.
Yeah. And I would caution people too that maybe to ask that question a couple of times on different days, because sometimes we wear ourselves down and our mood is just low, and you might not get the right response, but keep asking that question. If this is a hell yes, awesome, blossom. If it's not, then it's a hell no, move away. I have really enjoyed this. This is a lot of food for thought for myself as well. I'm always moving in a billion different directions, and I love the clarity and focus that you bring to, the idea of true productivity. So I'm going to listen back to this podcast and check out your links myself, because I think it would be very valuable for someone like me, especially, and I'm not a mom, but I'm a caregiver. So I juggle a few different things, and I have, 20-year-old cats around me that are always begging me to feed them. And I know there are moms out there that are juggling families, and especially right now with people being at home and working businesses. And so, what you bring to people in the terms of empowerment and in terms of being more productive and focused and empowered and clear, it's just, I really feel like right now, especially, there's a great need for that, because it's easy to get overwhelmed with everything going on. And so please let us know how we can connect with you.
You can always find me on Facebook. Just search my name, my last name. I'm there most of the times. And check out my website, agneserudzate.com. You can always find me there. Ask me questions. Send me a message or in a quick email, Again, as I said, it doesn't cost anything, but it might be that golden nugget that you need right then.
I totally love that. So thank you. I'm going to try to pronounce your name without botching it. Thank you, my guest, Agnese Rudzate. And I tried hard for joining it. I'm so excited that you joined us, the Your Creative Chord podcast, all the way from Switzerland today. And thank you so much for sharing your wonderful expertise and your joyful, cheerful attitude with us. I know many of my peer women in online business are going to be eager to get to know you more and the services you offer to help, particularly to help women and entrepreneurs thrive with greater productivity. And for my audience listening, just a reminder, Agnese Rudzate is a productivity coach, helping female entrepreneurs thrive in their business without 24/7 time investment. She has a freedom business formula designed to bring structure so business owners can get rid of overwhelm, we all want that, and constant hustle, we all don't want that, by working smarter. So please check out all of Agnes's wonderful links below this podcast. And I'm going to make sure that all those links are down there for my listeners, and please share them with others too. If you're listening with someone you feel might need a little help with prioritization or feeling a little bit more empowered for themselves. So thank you so much, Agnese. Really enjoyed this.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm so blessed, and have a productive week and the rest of the year. So thumbs up and all the best.
Thank you so much.